What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So a few days ago, actually, I got some new fish for the 20-gallon long pea puffer tank. It was a fish I was already talking about getting for the tank anyways, and those fish were some cardinal tetras. We actually got in a really nice school of them into the store, so I went ahead and got a few of them, and they're looking really good in the tank. However, if you guys remember, I actually had a small school of some longfin leopard danios already in the tank. I had 6 of those guys, and I didn't think it'd be a problem. You know, they looked good in the tank, they were really active, and they never bother the pea puffer, so I didn't expect anything crazy to happen with me adding the cardinal tetras in the tank. Little did I know I was completely wrong. As soon as I released those fish into the tank with those danios, it was an all-out terror. Every single one of those danios was on a cardinal tetra, just nipping at them, chasing them around the tank, really stressing them out, and this is as soon as I had added them into the tank. So they were already stressed out to a degree. So I thought it might have been some hunger aggression actually, because it was later in the day and they hadn't been fed that day. So I went ahead and fed them, and then actually calmed them down quite a bit actually. And the footage that you're seeing is actually already after I had fed them. So you know, the chasing that you're seeing in this clip is nothing compared to how they were acting when I first added the cardinals into the tank. But it still kind of triggered me a little bit, even after the danios calmed down. It kind of triggered me that they did that, so I took them out and I actually fed them to my flower worm. No, I didn't really do that. I have heard of someone doing that before. That's pretty cruel in my opinion. But I did move them to a different tank. I put them in with my Arandas, which is a more ideal tank for them anyways. They've got more room in that tank. It's got cooler water, and it's also got a bunch more flow. So they're doing good in there. And I also think that the temperature could have played a role. This tank right here is it's very warm. It has very warm water. It's in the upper 70s, kind of how the pea puffers and the cardinals like it. And the danios, they're a cold water fish. They like a lot of flow, and this tank has also got not much flow in it. I'm going to talk about that in a second because I did get the new filter for it. Danios just tend to like a tank that's got a lot of flow and has got cooler water, so I'm thinking that the warmer water could have played a role in them being kind of aggressive how they were towards the cardinal tetras. But as I mentioned, the cardinals have been in the tank for a few days now. They're doing really good in there with the pea puffers. Those are the only fish in there, them and the puffers. I mostly put bloodworms in the tank for the pea puffers, but the cardinals have actually been going after the bloodworms and taking them better than they've been taking the mysis shrimp, so I've been just kind of sticking with the bloodworms. Now, I did unfortunately lose 2 of them. This tank does not have a cover over it, so one actually did jump out, which is kind of uncommon for those fish, and then I just lost one. But when you get a school of 9 of them, cardinal tetras, and they haven't been at the store that long, so you can really monitor them and see how they're going to do. It's not uncommon that you get 1 or 2 bad ones, so which is alright because I'm already planning on getting some more for the tank anyways. Now that I took the danios out, I want to have a school of about a dozen or so of them in there. I think that's pretty ideal actually, and so I'll just replace those guys whenever I do get another smaller batch of them. And if you guys also remember, I was talking about getting a new filter for the tank, and I did indeed finally get that. And the filter I got for it is actually a pretty generic filter, but it's actually pretty ideal for what I was looking for. It is the internal power filter made by Aqueon. Now the one I got is good up to 20 gallons, so I'm thinking I might actually get another one and just have 2 of them on there. They do have a 40-gallon one. The problem is that that one is a little bit too tall, and the way I have the spiderwood set up in the tank and the plants and all that, it would be kind of getting in the way. So I think just getting another up to 20-gallon size and having 2 of those on the tank would be pretty good. But so far, the one on there is doing pretty good. And actually the reason why I wanted to get this filter is, as I've mentioned, so it can sit fully inside of the tank, and also so it could kind of blow a small, calm current throughout the tank. I wanted it to be on the side of the tank. It had to be on the side of the tank because I couldn't put it on the back because my TV is literally inches above the tank. Now to update you guys on the plants, they're all doing really good actually. The cryptocorn in the front's doing great. The microsword kind of in the middle part of the tank is also doing great, and the Vallisneria is starting to take off as the background plant as well. And also the little sprig of Hygrophilia that I just kind of threw in the tank, it is also doing really good. So that just shows you what Eco-Complete and a good bright LED light can do for your tank, because I don't dose this tank at all, and it does not have a bit of CO2 on it. Also, though, this tank right here, the Plaquette Beta tank, has now got a beta in it. Let's see if he'll come out. He's probably hiding back there. If I knock on the glass, he usually will come out. There he is right there. So yeah, that guy, he has been in the tank actually for roughly 2 weeks now. I just haven't not shown him to you guys. He's doing great. He's actually a little bit bigger than the last one. But as you can tell, this is not the same tank. This is actually a 10-gallon. That's because the tank that he was in was a 5-gallon. It looks similar to this. Everything else that came out of the 5-gallon went into this tank. But that 5-gallon started leaking one day, like a really, really fast leak. So luckily, I had 2 backup 10-gallons, and I just had to kind of transfer everything over into here. And I try to make it look as similar as possible to the 5-gallon. It looks alright for now. The plants are doing alright. The big Amazon sword, at least it has a little more room to grow now. And the 2 crypts are looking pretty good as well. So I think I might add a little more eco-complete in here, because you can see it's a pretty thin layer, and you can actually see some of the sand that I had on the bottom of the 5-gallon poking out right there. So I think a little bit more eco-complete in here would definitely do this tank up. But as you can tell, I was just planning on having that beta in the 5-gallon all by himself, but now that he's in a 10-gallon, you know, I feel like this is a little excessive for one beta. If you're just going to have, you know, if you're going to have a beta all by itself, I don't think you need a 10-gallon. You know, a 5-gallon would do you just fine. So what I want to do is actually add some type of small nano fish in here. And I've kind of narrowed it down to a few choices. I think the one I want to get, though, is a small little school of some Harlequin Rasboras. I think those guys would do good in here and also look very good. It's a pretty hardy Rasbora as well. So I think a small little group of them, like 6 or so of them, would do pretty darn good in here, and I don't think the beta would mess with them at all. So coming out here to the actual fish room, last video actually, if you guys watched that, we put these mangrove roots in the 55-gallon cichlid tank, and they have still not waterlogged. They've been in the tank now for exactly a week, and have still not sunken down to the bottom. These 2 pieces, I think I've gotten them where I want them. You can see I've kind of lined up the rocks just how I want them. But if you look up there, I've got a rock wedged in between where the wood starts and the filter right there, and that's what is keeping that one in place. And this one right here is just tall enough to where it kind of stands up out of the water slightly, so it kind of sits there perfectly like that. This piece is just an absolute mess, though. You can see it's like crooked. I've got one rock holding it down, and it's not even on the bottom. No part of it is, actually. But as soon as it does become fully waterlogged into the tank, I will set it in place and get the rocks all nice and how I want them. But as you can see over here, I have gotten them just how I want them. Now, going back to the tannins that I was talking a lot about in the last video, it hasn't really released that many tannins. None of the pieces actually have, and it's been a week. I think the carbon in the filter is probably helping that out a little bit, but I still have not seen any significant change in the watercolor, so that's really, really good. Also, the pH hasn't changed at all, actually, and the fish are absolutely loving these mangrove roots. Believe me, they're usually super, super active, but anytime I come out here with the camera, these fish always want to freak out for some reason, but they are loving it, and I think it is looking pretty darn good. I think a water change probably by the end of next week will get any little remaining tannins out of here, and also I'll be able to get all these wood chips out. Most of that's actually not fish waste. It's actually little bitty small pieces of wood chips that have come off the mangrove pieces and have just kind of settled on this side of the tank. Now, last video someone did comment about the electric blue Jack Dempsey's colors. They said, oh, it looked like the color all faded away and all that. It's not the case at all, actually. These fish, and also a lot of other cichlids and other fish even, they change their color based on their mood, based on how they're feeling, what kind of a mood they're in. It's what depicts their color. You can see that one right now is a more darker, brighter blue, and that one's a more lighter blue. Now, in the evening, when I go to feed these fish, they know what time they get fed every single day, just about. They get like a super, super bright blue. They get super, super active and get like really, really blue. So they just kind of change about through the day, and like whenever I first turn the lights on in the morning, actually all the fish are like this. They're very light in their coloration as well. So they kind of have to get their color as the day goes on. But also, I also freak them out a good bit with the camera and all that and talking really loud. But these guys, they have not lost their color, not one bit, I promise you. But that is pretty much going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys did, please be sure to give it a like down below. Also, we will be getting the new Dumbo ear guppies for the guppy pond in the next video. So we'll be starting up that whole breeding project, and we'll see however many guppies we have by the end of the summer. Hopefully we have a bunch just like we did last year. I am getting another type of Dumbo ear guppy like I did last year, but I'm getting a different strain that I did last year. So it'll be pretty cool. You guys will see that in the next video. So be sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out. Tap the bell for that way you get all the notifications when I upload. And I will catch all of you guys in the next video. Peace.